Good afternoon, everyone. In the last class, just we started the quantitative analysis of elements which are present in a given organic compound. Right? In that, we have discussed about the carbon and hydrogen, how to detect it. In today's class, we will see the remaining elements. First of all, any doubts up to that analysis? Now we will see a detection of nitrogen and how carbon hydrogen is completed. Estimation of nitrogen. So how much amount is there? Detection or measuring of nitrogen we can see. And here we can estimate the amount of nitrogen in a given organic compound by two methods. One is called Dumas method, and other one Geldahl method. Two methods are there. So first we will discuss about Dumas method, and this is very important. Sometimes they will ask you which method will attempt to estimate the amount of nitrogen present in a given organic compound. So one of the method is the Dumas method. So in this method, first we will take organic compound that if you pass to the cupric oxide in presence of carbon dioxide. Anyhow, when you treat organic compound with the cupric oxide, it will convert any carbon and hydrogen present in that organic compound into the carbon dioxides and moisture water. And if nitrogen present, that can give the nitrogen gas. It liberates the nitrogen gas, and apart from that, some of the nitrogen oxides. We will get nitrogen oxides. Again, this nitrogen oxide mixture, if you pass to the copper gauge, to the copper metal, that finally it can give nitrogen gases. It liberates the nitrogen gas. So now overall we will get nitrogen gas, and apart from that carbon dioxide and water or water vapors. And this mixture means the overall mixture of carbon dioxide, water and nitrogen, and that we will pass through the potassium hydroxide solution, or else we will collect this mixture over the potassium hydroxide solution. When you pass to the potassium hydroxide solution, water anyhow it can dissolve, and carbon dioxide can be absorbed by the potassium hydroxide, and only nitrogen we can collect over the potassium hydroxide solution. So you will get only the pure amount of nitrogen, and this we can calculate what is the volume of nitrogen produced in that particular reaction. And once if you know the volume of nitrogen at that particular temperature, whatever the temperatures, at some temperature T. So once if you know the volume and the temperature, this volume can produce some pressure. We can calculate the pressure by using the nitrometer, and pressure, volume, temperature is there. So by using these parameters, now you can calculate the amount of nitrogen. Once if you know the amount of nitrogen, this nitrogen anyhow that is completely coming from the organic compound. Now you can estimate how much amount of nitrogen is there in the given organic compound, and this is the Dumas method. So once again, just we will take the organic compound, you treat with the cupric oxide, it can produce carbon dioxide, water, nitrogen gas apart from the nitrogen oxides, and these nitrogen oxides further if you pass the copper, you will get pure nitrogen. So now you have the mixture of carbon dioxide, water and nitrogen. So this mixture they will pass to the some potassium hydroxide solution. We will take in a tube, just you pass this mixture through the potassium hydroxide solution, KOH. Then all the carbon dioxide will be absorbed here, and water also will absorb by the KOH. Only nitrogen left, and that can be collected over the potassium hydroxide solution over the surface of KOH. Now you can calculate how much volume they occupied. What is the volume of nitrogen or pressure of nitrogen and that particular temperature. Once if you know these parameters, you can identify the organic compound weight. So the weight of nitrogen present in a given organic compound. So for this we will use one formula, whatever it is. So whatever the volume we will collect at particular temperature, that we have to convert first into the STP condition by using the formula P1 V1 by T1 is equals to P2 V2 by T2. So by using this formula we will convert the volume of nitrogen into STP conditions. Let us assume these are the experimental values we found, and this is the STP conditions. These are the observed, and these are the STP. Now we can convert the volume of nitrogen into STP condition. So once if you know the volume of nitrogen at STP, we can identify the number of moles. From the number of moles we can identify the weight. So that is the weight of nitrogen which is coming from the given organic compound. So we have the formula here to identify the percentage of nitrogen by using the Dumas method. Percentage of nitrogen is equals to 28 by 22,400 into volume of nitrogen collected at STP here we have to take volume of nitrogen in ml. Why? Because here 22,400 the volume of gas at STP, this is in milliliters, by weight of organic compound. Weight of organic compound into 100. This is a formula by Dumas method. Let us see one question. Calculate the percentage of nitrogen. Calculate percentage of nitrogen in a given organic compound. And one more here, the aqueous tension at 288 kelvins is equals to 12.7 mm. This is the one. So here we have to calculate. Initial the weight of organic compound 0.25, that if you treat by using the Dumas method, we collected moist nitrogen. What is the meaning of moist nitrogen? It is the pure dry nitrogen. Apart from that, some water vapor is there. That is a aqueous tension, nothing but water vapor. So moist nitrogen at 288 Kelvin is producing 245 mmHg, means the total pressure of the mixture is 745. Nothing but here nitrogen plus water vapor is 745. From that we have to identify first pure or dry nitrogen vapor pressure. Now P total is given 745 mmHg, means nothing but pressure of nitrogen plus pressure of water aqueous tension. First we have to calculate pressure of nitrogen, that is 745 minus 12.7, that can give 732.3 mmHg. Now this is the actual pressure of nitrogen, it is not 745, and this is the pressure at what temperature? Temperature is given 288 Kelvin. Then volume of nitrogen is given at that condition, at the temperature, at that pressure is 30 ml. This is the data provided. The formula is percentage of nitrogen. We required volume of nitrogen at STP condition. Just you can use the formula according to ideal gas equation. P1 V1 by T1 is equals to P2 V2 by T2. Let us assume these are the initial P1 V1 T1 and P2 V2 T2, they are the STP conditions. So volume at STP pressure is 1 atmosphere and temperature 273 kelvins. You can substitute those values. P1 732.3, a volume is given 30 ml by a temperature 288 is equals to pressure at atmosphere 760 mm, volume V2, temperature 273. From this you can calculate volume of nitrogen at STP condition. That we can get, if you simplify this, you will get 27.4 ml. Now we have the volume of nitrogen at STP condition. Now to calculate the percentage of nitrogen, formula 28 by 22,400 into 27.4 by weight of organic compound is given 0.25 grams into 100. That's it. This can give approximately 13.6 percentage. If you simplify this one, you will get 13.6 percentage. Now we will see the second method, that is estimation of nitrogen, is a Geldahl method. This is also very important. Geldahl's method. K is silent, we can call Geldahl directly. So in this method, what we will do, we will take organic compound, and first you treat this organic compound with sulfuric acid. Anyhow, we are assuming that organic compounding containing nitrogen. If this organic compound contains nitrogen, when you treat with sulfuric acid, it will form ammonium sulfate. You will get ammonium sulfate, and this ammonium sulfate further you treat with sodium hydroxide, that can liberate ammonia. So means what, finally we will get ammonia gas. So when you treat the organic compound with sulfuric acid and followed by the sodium hydroxide, you will get ammonia. So the amount of ammonia liberated in this case can give the information that how much amount of nitrogen is present in a given organic compound. So means we have to estimate first the amount of ammonia liberated here. This we can estimate by doing the titration. They should do the kind of acid base titration. Titration against sodium hydroxide, this is a base, against acids either HCl or H2SO4. Okay, when you do the titration against these two acids, you can identify how much amount of ammonia liberated. Once if you know the amount of ammonia liberated, then you can identify the amount of nitrogen present in the ammonium. Why? Because in 17 grams of ammonia, we know that 14 grams of nitrogen will be present. Means if you know the ammonia amount, we can identify nitrogen. That again will give the percentage of organic compound, how much nitrogen is there in the given organic compound. This is a method. Again, just a kind of stoichiometric application here. No need to use the formulas, exact formulas here. Just apply the concept of stoichiometry. We will see one question. If you do one question, you will come to know. So in Geldahl estimation, this is the question. For this solution, so Geldahl method, organic compound, if you treat with first sulfuric acid and followed by sodium hydroxide, that can give the ammonia final, and this ammonia further neutralized or done the titration by using H2SO4 according to law of equivalence. In a neutralization reactions, the equal amounts of equivalents can react. Means here that ammonia is completely neutralized by H2SO4. How much amount? 10 ml 1 molar. So now we can apply law of equivalence. According to that, gram equivalence of ammonia should be equals to gram equivalence of sulfuric acid. again gram equivalence of ammonia should be equal to gram equivalent of sulfuric acid. Anyhow, they gave the information about the sulfuric acid, we have to find out. Gram equivalence means weight of ammonia by equivalent weight of ammonia. Equivalent weight we know 17 is equals to gram equivalence. Molarity, volume and N factor. Molarity 1 molar and volume is given 10 ml and its N factor is 2. From this we can calculate weight of ammonia. W is equal to, this is given in ml, milligrams. How much will get? 2017 340. That can give 3.4 grams, nothing but 0.34, sorry. So now we got the weight of ammonia. Weight of ammonia is that much, then weight of nitrogen we know that 17 grams of ammonia contains 14 grams of nitrogen, then 0.34 grams of ammonia should contains how much? 0.28 grams of nitrogen. Now the percentage of nitrogen. Just to apply the percentage composition, weight of nitrogen is 0.28. Right. Weight of organic compound is given 0.5 grams and into percentage means 100. 28 this much. Just if you simplify this one, you will get 56%. This is the percentage of nitrogen given organic compound. Now one important note, so many times question already asked here about the Jaldal method. Important note. Here all compounds, all organic compounds containing nitrogen cannot give this Jaldal method, means we cannot estimate nitrogen for every organic compound by using Jaldal method. There are some exceptions. So these are the exceptions. Compounds containing nitro group, nitro means NO2, and this type of organic compounds cannot give the Jaldal method. You cannot estimate the nitrogen by using Jaldal method. This is not applicable, and these compounds are not suitable for the Jaldal method. So very, very important. Why? Because these compounds cannot produce ammonium sulfate when you treat with sulfuric acid. So what is our aim? First we have to produce ammonia, but you cannot get the ammonia when you use this type of the organic functional groups. That is the reason. Next, estimation of halogens. Generally here we will use one method, that is called Caris method. Just remember, for qualitative analysis, Lassine test, quantitative analysis, we will use this Caris method. The Caris method is nothing but we will take one test tube. In that we will take organic compound, and if we heat that organic compound with silver nitrate, that can form AgCl, silver chloride, and the formation of silver chloride we can identify quantitatively. Nothing done here. Estimation of halogens, you take organic compound, just you acidify this compound with nitric acid, and then if you treat with silver nitrate, then if any halogens present in that, that can give AgC or silver halide simply AgX. It may be AgCl or AgBr or AgI. Now, by knowing the weight of this silver halides formed in this particular reaction, we can identify. Once if you know the weight of silver halide, from this we can identify the weight of halogen. If you know the weight of halogen, that halogen completely comes from the organic compound only. Again, percentage composition, weight of element by weight of organic compound into 100, right. So, here for halogen, first of all, means for chloride, for chlorine, we can use this formula. Percentage of chlorine is equals to, in a given organic compound. First, you have to identify how much amount of chlorine is there in this silver chloride. How to identify? Weight of chlorine is equals to weight of AgCl formed by molecular weight of AgCl. What is the molecular weight of AgCl? And silver 108, and that is 35.5. You will get 143.5 into this is atomic weight of chlorine, 35.5. From this, first we can calculate how much amount of chlorine is there in a given organic compound. Once if you know the weight of chlorine, that you can substitute in the percentage composition weight of chlorine by weight of organic compound. So, that is weight of chlorine is this much, that is 35.5 by 143.5 into weight of AgCl by weight of organic compound. Anyhow, percentage means into 100. Like this, we can identify the percentage of chlorine in a given organic compound. The same we can apply for bromine percentage also. In case of bromide percentage, we will get silver bromide. So, bromine atomic weight 80 and molar mass of AgBr is 188 into here weight of AgCl. In place of AgCl, now we can write AgBr by weight of organic compound into 100. Like this, we can estimate the bromine. Similarly, iodine also. Now, the percentage of iodine is equals to iodine atomic weight 127, weight of AgI 235 into in place of AgBr now AgI by weight of organic compound into 100. So, by using these formulas, now we can estimate the percentage of halogen in a given organic compound. Nothing, first we have to convert the organic compound into silver halides. From that we can calculate. Let us see one question here. In Carey's method, then calculate percentage of chlorine in an organic compound. Just formula, percentage of chlorine is equals to 35.5 by 143.5 into weight of AgCl form is 0.287, weight of organic compound 0.189 into 100. That is it. Just if we simplify this one, we will get the answer. You will get approximately 37.8%. This much percentage of chlorine is there. Next, we will see estimation of sulfur. Again, we will use the same Carey's method here also. Again, you take the organic compound, you acidified with the first nitric acid, the organic compound. Then if any sulfur is present here, that sulfur can be oxidized to the sulfuric acid. When you treat organic compound containing sulfur with HNO3, you will get sulfuric acid. And this sulfuric acid, if you treat with barium chloride further, you will get a white precipitate of barium sulfate. This is a solid, it is a precipitate, you will get it. Now you can identify the weight of barium sulfate, anyhow you will get in the solid form. Once if you know the weight of barium sulfate, from that you can identify the weight of sulfur present in the given barium sulfate, and that sulfur anyhow that is coming from completely organic compound only. So again you can estimate the sulfur from coming from organic compound. Here we can use this formula. First, weight of sulfur. How can you calculate the weight of sulfur? You have to identify how many moles of barium sulfate formed. That is the weight of barium sulfate by molecular weight of barium sulfate. Here molecular weight of barium sulfate is 233. Now this can give the number of moles of barium sulfate. We know that 1 mole of barium sulfate contains 1 mole of sulfur. Now we are getting the number of moles of sulfur. If you know the number of moles of sulfur, that moles you can convert into the weight by multiplying with its atomic weight. So now weight of sulfur, this is the number of moles of sulfur into the sulfur atomic weight is 32, can give the weight of sulfur. And the sulfur is coming from where? Organic compound only. Now the organic compound containing this much amount of sulfur. Now the percentage of sulfur in a given organic compound, just a percent composition, is equals to weight of sulfur, that means 32 by 233 into weight of barium sulfate. This is the weight of sulfur by weight of organic compound into 100, and this can give the percentage of sulfur in a given organic compound. Again simple stoichiometric calculations. So here also we can have a basic question. On heating uh, 0.2 grams of an organic compound with a mixture of barium chloride and HNO3 can produce 0.466 grams of barium sulfate was obtained. Then calculate a percentage of sulfur. What is the percentage of sulfur? That you can substitute in that formula. Percentage of sulfur is equals to 32 by 233. Weight of barium sulfate formed 0.466. Weight of organic compound is given 0.2 into 100. So you will get approximately 32%. Just if we simplify this one. So 233 into 2, you will get 466. They will cancel out. So 100, 32 you will get it. Next we will see one more estimation of phosphorus. Estimation of phosphorus. Again here we will use the same Carris method. So for this again we will take organic compound. First we acidified with nitric acid. If any phosphorus present in that organic compound, phosphorus element, the phosphorus can be oxidized to the phosphoric acid. The phosphoric acid formed in this reaction can be further converted into the solid form, a precipitate, by treating with a magnesia mixture. We can take a mixture of magnesium chloride ammonium hydroxide and ammonium chloride mixture. You treat the phosphoric acid with this mixture, you will end up with magnesium ammonium phosphate, this one, magnesium ammonium phosphate. This magnesium ammonium phosphate, if you heat it at high temperatures, you will end up with magnesium pyrophosphate, that is Mg2P2O7. You will end up with this final precipitated phosphorus in the form of precipitate. So, we are converting the organic compound which is having the phosphorus into the magnesium pyrophosphate. Again, you calculate the weight of this magnesium pyrophosphate formed in this chemical reaction. Once you know the weight of this compound, you can identify the weight of phosphorus present in that. This phosphorus completely, whatever is present in this precipitate, that is coming from organic compound only. So, whatever amount of phosphorus is present in this in this compound belongs to the organic compound only. Again, you can identify the percentage of phosphorus, that is the weight of this compound, its molecular weight, just like previous. The weight of phosphorus into organic compound weight into 100%. And first of all, how to identify the weight of phosphorus? To identify the weight of phosphorus, first we have to identify how many moles of magnesium pyrophosphate is formed. Means for that number of moles of magnesium pyrophosphate, means a weight of magnesium pyrophosphate by molecular weight. Molecular weight of that compound is 3/2, and this can give the number of moles of phosphate. And we know that each compound, each magnesium pyrophosphate has 2 phosphorus atoms, means 1 mole of compound containing 2 moles of phosphorus. Then weight of phosphorus, just you have to multiply with here 1 mole of this one, that you have to multiply with 2 moles of phosphorus, each phosphorus 31. So, 2 into 31, this is the weight of phosphorus. And now percentage of phosphorus in a given organic compound, weight of phosphorus by weight of organic compound. So, that can give 62 by 3/2 into weight of magnesium pyrophosphate by weight of organic compound into 100. So, this is a formula. This is one method to identify the percentage of phosphorus. You can identify in another way also, that is second method for the estimation of phosphorus. Again, organic compound you treat with nitric acid. Anyhow, we will get phosphoric acid. Phosphorus can be oxidized, and this phosphoric acid we can convert into the phosphorus precipitate when you treat with ammonium molybdate. You take ammonium molybdate, like qualitative analysis. When you treat this with ammonium molybdate, you will end up with ammonium phosphomolybdate. It is a yellow color precipitate. And this is ammonium phosphomolybdate. Again, each ammonium phosphomolybdate, this precipitate contains 1 mole of phosphorus. From this you can identify how much amount of phosphorus is there in the compound produced. Again, this phosphorus is coming from organic compound. Again, you can calculate now the weight of phosphorus produced. That is, first you have to identify the number of moles of compound, that means weight of ammonium phosphomolybdate by molar mass. Ammonium phosphomolybdate molar mass is 1877 into, we know that each compound is having only 1 mole of phosphorus, so that means 31. This is the weight of phosphorus. Once if you know the weight of phosphorus, we can calculate the percentage of phosphorus in a given organic compound. This you can take as usual, 31 by 1877 into weight of ammonium phosphomolybdate by weight of organic compound into 100. So, this one means you can convert the phosphorus present in an organic compound as a phosphorus precipitate in two ways, like magnesium pyrophosphate or ammonium phosphomolybdate. In any way, you can convert that phosphorus into the precipitate. So, from that you can identify the weight of phosphorus present in an organic compound. Two formulas here. One question related to phosphorus estimation. If 0.1 gram of an organic compound containing phosphorus gave 0.322 grams of magnesium pyrophosphate. What is the percentage of phosphorus? So, directly here. So, percentage of phosphorus is equals to a magnesium pyrophosphate. This is a 62 molar mass 3/2, weight of the compound 0.3/2 by organic compound 0.1 into 100. Just you simplify this one, and how this will be cancelled out, you will get 62% directly. The last one, the estimation of oxygen. Estimation of oxygen. Here oxygen we can calculate a simple method, that is just you assume that the total compound weight is 100%. In that, if you remove the remaining elements percentages, individual element percentage, then that can give whatever left is the percentage of oxygen only. Here percentage of oxygen should be equal to 100 minus weight percentage of all other elements. That means weight of or weight percentage of, if it is a carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, halogen, so sulfur, phosphorus. If any elements present, whatever the elements, that elements all weight percentage, if you can subtract from the 100, you will get only the percentage of oxygen. Like this you can do it, or else in the laboratory analysis wise, you can do it in another way. You should take organic compound again, and this you treat as usual. Just if you heat this organic compound, it can form oxides under the nitrogen atmosphere. It liberates some oxides. And these oxides, if you pass to the red hot coke, then you will get carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide mixture. Again, finally, this carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide we convert into the carbon monoxide. So, overall, whatever it is, the organic compound, whatever the oxygen present in the organic compound, we have to convert that into the carbon monoxide by using some suitable chemical reactions, by heating in presence of nitrogen atmosphere, by heating with red hot coke. Finally, you can convert that into the carbon monoxide. And this carbon monoxide can be estimated. Why? Because whatever the amount of carbon monoxide you will get it, you can give how much amount of oxygen is there in that. So, carbon monoxide can be estimated by using the iodine pentoxide. This carbon monoxide, if you treat with iodine pentoxide, will produce carbon dioxide and liberates iodine. Here the amount of iodine liberated can be estimated by using the hypo solution, that is the iodometric titration, or else you can pause the whatever the carbon dioxide produced in this chemical reaction to the potassium hydroxide. The two ways I can do, either you can do the iodometric titration or you can observe by using the potassium hydroxide. Then you can calculate the weight of carbon dioxide produced in this particular chemical reaction. Again you apply the stoichiometric calculation. The amount of carbon dioxide produced should be equal to the amount of carbon monoxide we have taken initially. And this carbon monoxide is coming from where? From organic compound only. So, once if you know the weight of carbon monoxide produced, you can calculate the percentage of oxygen present in that carbon monoxide. Once if you know the percentage of oxygen, that only coming from organic compound. So, like this you can calculate the percentage of oxygen by laboratory analysis. So, then as usual you can write the formula here. Now, percentage of oxygen is equals to, this is 16 by 44 into weight of carbon dioxide formed by weight of organic compound into 100. That can give the percentage of oxygen.